Hello, fellow members of YI. I am your new chairman, Damien Heads. Let me tell you a little bit about myself and why I've decided to take up this position as chairman of YI. So let me just start with myself. I'm an electrician by training, but before that, I used to work as a camera assistant and things like that before I got purged on my views for Islam and grooming gangs and all that kind of stuff. Which has happened to a lot of people, believe it or not, especially in the creative industries. And the reason why I joined UKIP and why it was so important to me is that people of my generation are having such a shit time at the moment. Not only are we confounded with these overwhelming issues to do with mass migration, which is flooding the country on a phenomenal level. Ever since Tony Blair got into power, this country has had, well, since the last 20 years, around 500,000 people come to this country every year. That has made it impossible for our generation to get on the housing ladder, to rent at affordable prices, live with any sort of dignity, because we've had our hopes and dreams and aspirations taken away from us, from people at the top, cosmopolitan elites who think they can speak for us and think they know what's best for us, and basically turn Britain into what essentially is a hotel. Anyone can come in, anyone can stay. It doesn't matter how it affects the working class. Tony Blair's speechwriter actually said, we're going to rub multiculturalism into the noses of the working class. And that's what they've done. They've royally screwed us. Let me give you just a couple basic facts you might not have heard of. In 1990, a third of people in their 20s were on the housing ladder. Today, it's 10%. Okay? That is what we're talking about. That's a 300% decrease. That is ridiculous. Another one, I wrote a KIP Central article about this, which is called Nearly 1 million More Young People. And it says, there was a report done recently, and it found out that the proportion of those aged 20 to 34 who live with their parents has risen from 2.4 million in 1997 to 3.4 million in 2017. So there's now almost 1 million more young people who live with their parents now than back then in 1997, which was, funnily enough, when Tony Blair got elected. So not only that, we've got one of the biggest crises we've ever been through. We've also got the threat of Islamification. The Muslim population in this country has been doubling every decade. Look at the stats, or if it's not doubling, it's close to doubling. We've all seen the terrorist attacks, the grooming gangs. The grooming gangs was one of the biggest social disasters to happen to this country in the last 50 years or so. Young girls getting drugged, taken up to flats and brutally raped, and all sorts of horrible stuff. I don't want to even go into some of the stories, but we've all heard them. And Brexit, obviously, we are having a constitutional crisis right now where the politicians are going against us. We found out that they don't represent the people whatsoever. So there's this big conflict and tension now between Parliament and the people. If you look at the Leave vote, you'll find predominantly that the vast majority of regions voted for Brexit. It's only actually these small cities. And this is another argument which I often bring about, which not everyone is happy to subscribe to, but there is very clearly a big class divide between the working class and the middle class about the direction of the country. The working class majority, predominantly very patriotic, they don't want mass immigration. They don't like political correctness. They want free speech and things like that, and they don't like the Islamification of their country. They care about their community and where they grew up, and they don't want to see it turn into Islamic shitholes like Bradford and Leeds and Rotherham. Well, not so much Leeds, but Luton, places like that. And this is why Tommy Robinson has become such a prominent figure, because this is such an issue to do with Islamic extremism, grooming gangs, and just general Islam and the lack of care of free speech and things like that, which has driven so many people to people like Tommy Robinson. And that's why we need to support people like Tommy Robinson. But anyway, I've gone on to a bit of a tangent there. Let me tell you some things about what I want to do with YI in particular. I very much believe in Battens' vision for the party. I think he's done a tremendous job. He brought the party from the brink of financial collapse. He got the members really enthused with his tough stance against political correctness and speaking tough on immigration, supporting free speech and talking tough on Islamic extremism and things like that. And yes, embracing people like Tommy Robinson, who have been at the forefront of bringing these issues into the mainstream, which he has. I saw Jacob Rees-Mogg on TV like a few months ago even mentioned Tommy Robinson and how not leaving the EU would somehow cause him to rise to the heights or whatever. And that's another thing. Brexit, I know a lot of people are skeptical at the moment, but there will come a time soon where that issue is solved. And so we do need to move forward. And as Sargon said, I think it's time, not immediately, because, we are still in the forefront of Brexit passing through the Commons and everything right now. But we need to eventually stop talking about Brexit and move on to other things. And for me, the main issues are immigration, free speech, Islamification. These are issues which are affecting people tremendously, and the working class especially. And so we need to be the voice of these kind of people. It's very easy to get caught up into these little intellectual bubbles where, we need to compromise, and people like Tommy, they're too loud and brash, and we need to make certain people happy and please these people. If we do that, we're going to lose everyone. We can't do that. There's currently no party in the whole country that represents the working class and their struggle, and that's why we need to have a mainstream party like UKIP who can back them and help them with their issues and be their voice in Parliament. I strongly believe that. So what I'm going to do with YI, my first act is I'm calling on everyone who holds a position in the council and the exec to resign. That's because I don't want to have the tension which has happened between Richard Brain and the NEC. If I'm to lead YI properly, I need to have people who are of my team, who can support me, who are on side. And that's not to say I want to turn YI into some dictatorial, premiership where everyone worships me or something. There's nothing like that. If I want to lead effectively, I need to have people on side. That's the crunch of it. Secondly, I want to have a referendum in YI on whether Tommy Robinson should be allowed to join UKIP. Now, this was a promise originally given to us by the NEC that we would have a vote on whether Tommy Robinson should be allowed to join the party. However, as often with the NEC, they lied. They didn't deliver on that promise, and we never got the vote on whether Tommy should join. I really respect and love Richard Brain. He is a fantastic guy. He's sort of a similar mind to me, I would say, in that he's quite creatively minded and appreciates culture and color and all the kind of things which I enjoy. And he's really into history and things like that. You talk to him, you have the most amazing conversation with him. However, I think he's wrong on the Tommy Robinson issue. I'm not saying that Tommy Robinson has to be allowed to become a member just like that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it should be the members that decide. The members should have to decide whether Tommy should be able to allow to join the party. And I've heard the argument before about how it's not in the rules that Tommy's allowed to join because, you know, he used to be a member of the BNP briefly, like 20 years ago. I'm sorry, but there is actually a thing in the Constitution which says exceptions can be made. So that basically calls bullshit on that argument. So I'm not having any of that. And I think those rules need to be looked at again anyway, to be honest. Like, I think maybe there should be some kind of review period of certain people who want to apply, who may have been in, you know, so some, you know, the BNP or something like that in the past. So yeah, I want to do a referendum on whether Tommy should be able to join the party. And I want to advocate for Battens' vision of the party, which I strongly believe in. And to be honest, I think we do need Batten back as leader. Like I said before, I love Richard Brain, but Batten has that pull of the members that I don't think anyone could ever contend with. Batten, for me, is one of these figures which comes along every 30 to 50 years or so. And he just has that, he has the charisma, he has the knowledge, and he knows his history. He knows everything to do with politics and not the law, not everything to do with the law, but he's amazingly intelligent, and he has that voracious spirit about him where it's, you know, he'll fight for you, he'll fight to the death because he believes strongly in what he believes in. And I thought it was a very brave move for him to come in defense of people like Tommy Robinson, despite what, you know, people in the mainstream will say, like, he's a thug, he's a no good. That takes guts to say, actually, no, this guy has been has had wrong done to him, such as what happened when he went to prison for filming the Muslim pedophiles, which no one had been to prison for in like 5 decades or something stupid, and he didn't even break the rules because they didn't say that you had to, that you weren't allowed to film, which they should have. So yeah, I very much believe in Gerard, and I do believe he should become leader again. And this is really where I want to see the party. If we're going to succeed and achieve the things we want to achieve, we need to become the radical party that we're always supposed to be. Even Nigel Farage said that unless UKIP is a radical party, it'll die, and it will die. We've got the Brexit party holding the people to account on Brexit. You know, I know people have a romantic vision of UKIP. You know, we held the torch from the beginning, but I'm sorry to say, but those days are over. Nigel Farage has become the bastion of Brexit, and he is the one holding them account. And Nigel Farage won the EU elections because he's Nigel Farage. He's a massive character, and people were always going to gravitate to him in an election. Unfortunately, Gerard just has not had enough time to establish himself as a politician, which is a shame, really, because he did such a fantastic job in the little time that he did have at UKIP. So yeah, just to going on the tangent again, just to go over what I plan to do. I'm proposing all the people on the exec and council of YI to resign. I've already had 2 people inform me of their resignation, which is good. So thank you to them. I won't name them just in case I get them into trouble or something. I'm going to give to the end of the week for the rest of the people to resign or not. I can't force them to resign. So I'm hoping they will resign. And if they believe they are the right person for the job, that's fine. They can stand again. But I do need a team that will support me. And then once that happens, I'll start making provisions for the vote on whether Tommy Robinson should be able to join the party. And hopefully we get a win on that. And if we do get a win, I can start bringing that to the main party and show the party that, okay, you may believe, well, not the party, I should say the NEC, you may believe in this, we should be basically a very bland party who basically just repeats what the Brexit party says. Well, actually, the youth think differently. The youth think we should be a radical party and speak openly and honestly about the issues which are affecting vast amounts of people, no matter if they're subjects which are not the most, are not the best of subjects to get into in terms of pleasing the mainstream media. Fuck the mainstream media. I don't give a shit about the mainstream media. I don't believe in not going on the mainstream media altogether. We should go on the mainstream media. And some people alluded that maybe that's what Battens wanted. I don't think he quite meant that. I think he was more meaning not to make it the main focus. But yeah, we need to knuckle down and make UKIP radical again and make it fight for the issues that are affecting so many people. So I think that's it. So look forward to the next few weeks or so, and then hopefully the end of this week I'll get the resignation so I can start making moves for an election, and then we can get that Tommy Robinson vote underway and get things rolling. Let's make UKIP and the youth of UKIP, YI, radical again. Service guarantees citizenship.